Right, this looks really quite good, guys. EA Sports have just released a new gameplay video, 10 minutes long, of onboard driving footage from EA Sports WRC title, which is basically WRC 23. Previously, yesterday, our video, we were looking more at the replay footage and the other footage that we've seen over time of this game. And as I said in the previous video, I was very much on the fence with this title, a little bit worried, and, you know, hard to tell how good it would be. But I would say, from this footage that we've got now, in this 10-minute gameplay footage, I have come off the fence a little bit. I still have a fence post at my bottom, but I've moved a little bit. And I am actually in the camp of slight optimism, because this onboard footage actually looks pretty decent. I'd say the car handling and movement, visually obviously, that's all we can go by in the video, looks nice. Like the cars look nice and slidey and controllable in those slides. It looks like you can drift around the corners a bit. It looks like the grip returns quickly. It looks like the driver has nice control over the vehicles, and the vehicles also have some nice, somewhat deep mechanics to them. Physics-wise, it looks like it's a little bit generally more slidey than the WRC previous games by Nakon, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, and it very much actually reminds me of the Dirt Rally sort of physics visually, though I'd say it looks a little bit less dynamic than Dirt Rally 1 and 2. The cars look a little bit tamer in this, a little bit less agitated, like the suspension's maybe a little bit more muted, though there also seems to be more roll visually. But you know, it's hard to tell from visuals, and personally, I don't actually care how grippy or slippy it is. All I care about is the car actually controllable, and does it give the driver that controllability along with the force feedback to let them really dance with the vehicle and play with the car through the environments. And after all, that is the point of rally driving. It's that whole playing with a vehicle on different surfaces. Nicely with this new footage, they've got a bunch of different vehicles, and it does look like the dynamics of those different vehicles are quite different. The handling looks quite different, so that's again really nice. Cars also seem to be going over jumps and landing nice and stable without weird stuff happening, which is often a problem in rally games. Maybe it's a little bit too smooth over jumps, but you know, this is, you get into that sort of nitpicking territory of, oh well, what looks better or worse, or how good are the physics. Again, if it's controllable, if the force feedback tells you what's going on, I think that will be a fun game and a fun driving game to play. And then the sort of more nitpicky absolute realism of the physics is kind of like icing on the cake. But yeah, it actually looks genuinely good. This is the most exciting and most interesting video that EA have put out of this title. And it does beg the question, actually, why would they not show some of this footage more like this sooner? Especially for showing off the graphics, because the graphics look way better in this video than previous videos and even screenshots they've released. Especially the bonnet view shots, you can really see that they've focused on the road texture and the tree details and the foliage, which obviously is the most important part of any video game. But it looks good from the driver's view, which for a rally game where you're driving from the driver's view, that's the most important thing. So it makes sense that they put those details there. And it would make sense to then show that off and shout about it from the treetops in your promotional material. I've seen this a lot with modern games. Sometimes there's really nice stuff and they just don't really promote it. It's bizarre. Now, the nice thing in this video as well that you can see is the different seasonal and the different weather, and you see it cut on the same stage, so you can see how different the tracks look in those different weather and lighting conditions. And I think that will actually really add a lot of novelty and keep a lot of this stuff looking quite fresh. And the lack of visibility you have, along with the grip changes on a rainy day compared to a dry day, really does actually make things quite novel and keeps the challenge up, because you really will have to listen to those co-driver calls. Now, I can't all be positive, guys. You know what I'm like. I'm a bit miserable, always miserable. Just need to keep the tea sipping to stay positive. I will say the co-driver calls, they don't seem to have done the recording like they did with the Dirt Rally games, where in Dirt Rally they've got a motion rig and had the co-driver talk through the calls as if they were doing the stage, and that way you got this really realistic sounding co-driver feeling like they're going to be killed by the driver, sort of emphasis on the words, whereas it sounds really robotic and stale in this. And that's a really big missed trick, I think, because it's not necessarily the hardest thing for a developer to do, and that added so much to the old Dirt games. So that's a shame. Though the voices in this do sound better than that weird 1940s posh pilot voice that we had in the Nakon WRC games, which I don't know where they got that guy from. I don't know why. Did they literally travel back in time for that? I don't know. So, you know, I'll probably be playing this with French or German, attractive German co-pilot, because that's a better way to play rally games. I don't need to listen to some annoying British person with a stupid British tea-sipping wonky tooth accent. I want a fine German lady talking to me whilst I drive her into a tree, causing both of us to lose our lives. But it was a good way to go. I will say as well, the rain that they showed off in this looked really bad. Well, actually not. The wet surface looked great, the puddles looked great, the lighting and the clouds look fantastic. And I tell you, I'm an expert on damp weather, obviously, but the particle effect for the raindrops looks really bad, and I think also it's the snow as well. It would be better for them to turn that particle effect off and not be able to see it, and just have the raindrops appear on the screen, and maybe have more of kind of like a diffuse kind of mist kind of look to it. I mean, Richard Burns Rally literally has better rain effects than this title, and the particle effects don't seem to be actually angled towards the car. The rain's falling vertically down despite the car going at 80 plus miles an hour into raindrops. And you know, if you drive into rain, it's going to be coming towards you. I don't know, someone needs to rotate that particle effect, or just get rid of it. Come on, Codemasters. Obviously this game's not out till November, so they're probably still working on it, but those raindrops look terrible. Worst case, just alpha them by half as much as what they are now. It should not be as prominent as they are, but yeah, the raindrops look terrible, the particles didn't look too good. But I'm going to be positive again. One of my gripes with the old Dirt Rally 1 and Dirt Rally 2 was that I felt the stages looked really wide, or a lot of the roads seemed very wide, and I think that was by design to make it less, to make it more accommodating. And one of the things I really loved about the Nakon WRC games was that the roads felt narrow, especially like, you know, these sort of small Monaco roads or some of the countryside roads you have in various locations. They were really nice and narrow, and that really means that you have to be super precise with your input, and it really gives a massive sense of speed boost and gets you on your toes to be super precise, centimetre, millimetre precise, which is a really fun part of driving a rally car. And it does seem to me like some of the roads are wide in this, but also some of them look really narrow. So again, I'm optimistic. That looks good to me. This is terrible. Tone the optimism down. What I will say I noticed as well from this video footage was there's instances where John Armstrong, what are you doing? He's driven into walls and objects, which you wouldn't expect from a pro driver as good as John Armstrong. And I never crash, and I'm not a rally driver, so I don't know what he's doing. There's points where there's contacts with bits of Armco or wall and things, and the car sort of just bounces off it. Now, some people might say, that is terrible, why is the damage not better? You know, and they might have a point that maybe the damage is turned off in this, and maybe they should have a better damage system. And it would be really cool, actually. Imagine a rally title with BeamNG or even Wreckfest type damage. That would be amazing. I would like that. That'd be a great innovation. We're never going to get that. I would say, if you can't do damage properly in a racing game, it's better for it to be toned down, and it's better for it to be forgiving. Now, maybe when you change the damage settings on this, it will be different, and there'll be harder and easier settings. There probably will be, so we have to wait and see. But at least with how it is in this video, I actually quite like that the car could knock off a wall a bit and keep going without anything mental happening. That was a definite issue, and has been an issue with a lot of rally games where you tap a wall one time really gently and the car ping-pongs and flies mentally off into a tree all over the place, and it's game over, race over, you know, stage over, and it's like, well, that's just so unforgiving. Sometimes that happens in real life. Rally can be very unforgiving, but you know what I mean. I think if damage and contacts can't be done actually very close to realistic, sort of Wreckfest BeamNG, then it's better for driving games and even simulators to do things more on the forgiving side. It's just less frustrating, and I think a better for gameplay. So I'm actually quite optimistic with how the car knocked off the wall on some occasions. That's one of the things I actually quite liked about the WRC game for the most point. The previous Nakon ones is it was less prone to like really crazy crashes that you'd sometimes get in Dirt 1. Though to be fair to Codemaster, Dirt 2 actually improved the way that track bumps and stuff affected the car and reduced those rolls. So that was nice. I'm being far too positive with this. But this footage just really looks so much better than anything else that they've shown off of this game. So, you know, credit where credit's due, I guess. And I'll be honest, I'm dying for a good rally game. I am a big rally fan. I think it's the best form of racing. I mean, it is. It's not even my opinion. It's an objective fact that rally driving is better than track driving. It's the most pure, it's the purest form of motorsport. After New Zealand jet boat racing. Go and Google that and have your eyeballs melted. So, yeah, the sounds as well all seem really good with the onboards. A little bit muted in some ways, but totally fine. I think it'll be really immersive. And the footage of this as well actually looked a lot smoother. The onboard didn't notice too much frame timing issues. And this is all recorded in 4K, or at least the YouTube video was 4K. So that lends me to be optimistic about Unreal Engine as well. I am really getting worried about the optimism here. Codemasters, EA, whoever owns things these days, I'm sure they will prove me wrong at release. But, right, we've gone from on the fence to slightly optimistic. Please, this be a good game. We need a decent rally game. It's almost 20 years since Richard Burr's rally. 20 years? I'm going to be dead of old age before we get another good rally game. Oh, dear. Well, I'm okay, so I am optimistic now. Maybe you should be. Don't be optimistic. Never be optimistic. New Forza Motorsport, for those of you that have spent £90 on it's coming out tomorrow, so I'm sure that will reset the optimism to a new low. Or maybe that'll end up being good. I mean, if that ends up being good, and this ends up being good, God knows what's going on. Aliens have taken over. But thanks for watching this video. Thank you very much for watching it. Appreciate it. Congratulations for getting to the end of this video. You deserve a prize. The prize is lower IQ. Make yourselves a cup of tea. I will see you very soon when we next do more content. But until then, take care. Goodbye, everyone.